Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's still a morning. I'm just excited. I think it's been a while I was in the studio, so I'm kind of excited. In Cree, they will say "Afro me kakra." Well, good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, and you're welcome back to the Trotter TV show. This year has been a very interesting one. Last year we promised you guys that this year we're going to switch stuff up, and so I think for some time now we've been on the streets, we've been at some programs, we've been doing a couple of things, and it has been exciting. My name is Yao Odum. I'm back on the Trotter TV show. Today I'm doing it alone. My better half, or more like my runaway half, has been sent on an assignment, so she will not be in the studio today. But today I can promise you have an exciting show. So I was watching some of the stuff behind the scene, and Charlie, it is very interesting. But for those of us that joined us last week, I'm sure you're expecting to see us at the station that you see behind me. But today we are not there. We had to change things a little bit. What we wanted to do is, last year we started the Trotro Diaries educational campaign in partnership with COMAC, DVLA, and the other partners. And we went to the Tema Community 1 station, did some very interesting education there, got some feedback, got some questions, among other stuff. So we said, you know what, why not come into the studio, review what we learned from Tema Community 1 station, and then next week we go to Kaneshi and then pick up the educational campaign from there. So that is why today we are in the studio. We have a lot of awesome stuff that we're bringing you today. It's been a long time I saw the Trotro trends, but today we have some for you. What cannot happen in Trotro does not exist, or what cannot happen in Ghana does not exist. Some of the stuff that you will see are things that should not be possible, but Charlie, Omofia land, everything can happen in this country. But then beyond that, then we're also going to have our resource person, Nene, who is already in the studio with us. He's going to be taking us through some of the things that he taught us at Tema Community 1 station last week. And we're going to be watching some of the stuff. And watching some of them behind the scenes, sometimes, Charlie, we need to take some things serious. Some of the stuff, when you are told, we take it for granted, right? Some of the road safety stuff especially, we take them for granted. But with some of the stuff that he's going to be taking us through today, wow, we need to take some of these things serious. This is still the Trotter TV show. We're back every Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 midday on Joy Prime. As I mentioned, Trotter trends are coming back. Education is coming back. And most importantly, as you know, this is not a show you watch alone. It's like saying, oh, I'm going on a date. You can't go on a date alone with yourself unless you are weird. But this show is something that the very moment it comes on, you need to call family, you need to call friends to join you in watching this. You can take a picture off the screen, or if you're watching it on social media, you can share a screenshot of it online and invite other people to join you. We will have the lines open as well. You can share your thoughts on WhatsApp, and I believe Zoom would also be available, because today is going to be insightful. There's going to be a lot of education. So we want you guys to join via Zoom or WhatsApp and send the questions or feedback or inputs that you have. This is the Trotter TV show. We'll go for a quick commercial break. When we come, we jump into the Trotter trends, and then we come again with the education. Stay tuned. You're welcome back to the Trotter TV show. It's a Saturday, and so obviously we don't want it to be too, giddy. We don't want it to be rough. We like to play it smooth, and then we bring in the other stuff. So we're going to start with the Trotter trends, and I don't know, for some of the stuff, Charlie, something else. And obviously, when there's Trotter trends and Kaswa, they say Kaswa is a whole country on its own. If Kaswa is not featured, then you know it's not Ghana. Anyway, so let's just go for the Trotter trends, and then when we come back, we'll jump into the conversation. I really do not know why people like to pick fights with Trotro mates. These guys are trained with sharp mouths. They're the things that they will say to you. So I don't know why people like to pick fights with them. But that very beginning of him throwing shade at Kaswa was even necessary. Like, was it the overall Kaswa? Was he at a car, the Ebola car? Anyway, this was a first dose of Trotro mates. Let's see what the next video has for us. So, first is first, as a road safety advocate, I have to give a disclaimer. I have to give a disclaimer because I see Nene in the studio already getting ready with stuff that he's going to say about this one. But I think this one is off-road. He hasn't joined the main road yet. That's the only disclaimer I can use for this one. But Charlie, the guy has dance moves. This one is proper atupa. I think he looks like somebody from the eastern part of Africa or something. Please do not do this if you are driving. This is him. I think he's parked in their yard or something like that. When I asked about it, he was parked in the yard or something like that, just having a bit of work and happiness. But under no circumstance should you do this on the road and say, hey, I saw it on the Trotter TV show on Joy Prime. He just had some nice atupa skills that we wanted to showcase, but don't do this if you are driving. Don't do this when you are on the road. Next video. No, I think seriously, we need to do something about Kaswa. Seriously, because Charlie, some of the things that happen, because I know getting to Amasaman and Co. is also not easy, but I don't think people are being put in tracks like this for Amasaman. I don't think so. I stand to be corrected. If you are watching and then you think it is done in Amasaman as well, please send a message on WhatsApp. But why every time Kaswa? Why can't it be Tema? Why can't it be where else? Madina, Adenta or something. Every time it's Kaswa. So what, they don't have enough cars going to Kaswa, or this Kaswa, what is there? That every time it has to be you people. And let us see some good stuff. Okay, producer, I'm challenging you. Find some good stuff about Kaswa. Find some bands. Find something cool or something nice, sexy about Kaswa, and let's come and post it next week. We want to see sexy. In fact, next week, let's dedicate everything to Kaswa. Nice things about Kaswa, good roads, fine boys and girls, something. Find something nice about Kaswa. But if you are watching, you have something cool about Kaswa, please send it to the WhatsApp number that you can see on your screen. I think we have a video or two more to go for the trends.
The Ghana for Niagara, Yich. Adiachi. No, the Ghana for Niagara. Nothing, Adianchi, no. O Mabia, yes, o Mubu, man. Near the other, Diagora, Israel. Adiachi. The Ghana for Niagara, Yich. Adiachi. No, the Ghana for Niagara. Nothing, Adianchi, no.
Was that an opportunity I was hearing in the background? There's no way anyone can convince me that this is not Kaswa. This is definitely Kaswa. If anyone that has evidence should tell me that this is not Kaswa. And sometimes, Charlie, some of the things, so there's a motorbike that is pulling it. The motorbike is not able to pull it. So the Okada guy is supporting with his legs. And then I think I saw there was somebody behind the car also trying to push. And there was an Aponche also in the background giving like, say, shout out. So the magic that we are doing in this country, eh? Oh, man. Charlie, do we have another video?
Okay, is one of the cars still off?
Oh.
I think the favorite part about this is how the guy was able to keep a straight face. I would not have been able to do that. Either I'll be laughing at you or I'll be so upset at this one. And the part where she was about to complain about the car, that's the fault of the car. The car is not going. She has done everything. And the guy is like, yeah, maybe you should start the car. I swear, the guys that teach how to drive, they are good. They're good because there's somebody in the studio that you guys cannot see to my right that I tried teaching how to drive. I had to take about 2 years of anger management classes. And in fact, we have Nene in the studio. I'm gonna ask Nene how you guys manage this. To teach somebody how to drive. Because if this thing was not recorded, I'm sure she would still have blamed the guy that was his fault, that the car didn't move. Anyway, this is the Trotro Trends on the Trotro TV show. If you're watching, as I mentioned, invite somebody to join you. You can share your thoughts also on the WhatsApp numbers that are on your screen, and we'll read them for you as well. So if you've been following the show, a couple of weeks back, we introduced we announced that we're going to be having the Trotro Diaries educational campaign in partnership with Comac. And so last week, we went to the Tema Community 1 station to launch it or to start the educational campaign. We had representatives from Comac. We have a representative from Stevens Driving School. We had a representative from DVLA. They took us through some education and stuff. And today we happen to have one of them, one of the resource persons in the studio with us. This is still the Trotro Diaries educational campaign. Some of you couldn't join us last week, and so we decided, okay, let us bring him into the studio because what they shared with us was very insightful, very, very insightful. And this is stuff that whether you're a driver, whether you're a mate, whether you're a passenger, whether you're buying fuel or whatever it is, or even if you are a Trotro passenger, at some point you're thinking about buying your own car. So there are things that you should know. And some of the things also border on road safety. And when we talk about it, people think, oh, road safety is for drivers. No. Some of the stuff that you'll be seeing today are things that even you, as a passenger, should be aware of. So we have Nene Williams from Stevens Driving School in the house. Charlie, Nene, how are you doing?
Charlie, God's grace. I'm doing so well.
Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
Charlie, but you have some smile. Are you married?
Oh, no.
You have some smile that, please, today we have to find a girlfriend or...
Oh, no, girlfriend, I have one.
You have one?
Yeah.
So we shouldn't add...
She's watching, so...
Hey, sorry. Oh, madam, we greet you. We hope you are doing well. As the politicians will say, I'm holding a press conference now to retract what I said. Anyway, Charlie, how's it going?
Oh, Everything is good.
Nice. So last week we started the educational campaign,
Yeah.
and there were a couple of things that were shared. We'll get into that, but generally, what are your thoughts from what you saw, what you experienced, and all that from the bigger picture of the campaign?
So when I cast my mind back to the interactions, especially the questions that the drivers asked, it drew my attention to a few things. One was that they don't like to pass through the right channels. We all like shortcuts in Ghana. Because we had a representative from DVLA giving them the license process. And the questions they were asking proved that they didn't actually visit the DVLA office for their license. They were asking about fake license, and he didn't want to answer it because there's no way DVLA can give you a fake license. And they all claim that, yes, there are fake licenses in the system. So the question is, where did you get it from? And also, when you looked at the questions that they also asked from the representative from Comac, you'd also realize that when it comes to fuel also, they know that some filling stations don't give them value for money, but they don't speak up. So there are lots of things I realized that the sensitization would help make their lives easier. So it's not as if we were just there to talk, but I realized from their questions that they had a lot to learn from. Even though they have years of experience, you still realize that there were a few things that they had to learn as drivers and also as passengers. Because I recall there were a few passengers who also sat and even asked questions. There was one gentleman who was also going, I don't know where he was going though, but he sat, enjoyed, and even asked the question.
True.
Which means that it cuts across all passengers, drivers, and in fact, all the road users. So I think this was a very good initiative.
Okay, so I think for some of the viewers that might be joining us, one of the questions will be that road safety is something they've heard. You know, the typical Ghanaian thing, yatiabre, right? And so if you were to paint a picture, why is it so important that we do things like this?
It's simple. We all want to be alive. Yeah, and that is the whole bottom line, to stay alive. Yeah, death can come any day, but there's nothing more painful than the death that could be prevented. And that is why this campaign is very, very important. We all have friends and loved ones. And I always say that you never know how painful it is until you are the victim of losing a loved one. You go to a lot of funerals, but you just go, you drink your water, sometimes you even ask for takeaway. But when it's your loved one, you don't even want to eat. And that is why this campaign is important, because most of the accidents on the road are actually caused by human error. I recall just a week or two ago, they even said over 90% of the accidents on our roads in Ghana are caused by human error.
Wow.
So if that is the case, then it means that this is the way to go,
Wow.
so that we reduce that risk.
And when we talk about 90% human error, is it just because I think oftentimes when we talk road safety and we talk statistics and all that, sometimes people are disassociated from the numbers and the reality. And so when we're saying 90% human error, what are we talking about? Is it just that, it's just drivers, or there's human error, driver side, passenger side, pedestrian? What are we talking about?
I think it encapsulates everyone who uses the road. Because you might say, okay, I'm not a driver, so I have no concern about road safety. By you crossing at the wrong place, the driver can avoid you and rather go and hit another vehicle. So you were the cause of the accident. Maybe you live to tell the story or to tell the tale, but the other driver who was a victim because of what you did might end up losing his or her life. And because you don't even know what you did was wrong, you still not even see the need to learn or to do better. And that is why it cuts across everyone. And when we say stats, you think they are just numbers, but the numbers have names behind them. They have families behind them. They have children, and even they have people who are depending on only them for survival. And they are not just stats. And that is why this is very, very important.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, we started the Trotro Diaries educational campaign. And the whole idea is we need to get information. Because oftentimes when I'm driving, I see people crossing. I don't know how they do it, but people want to cross. There's a runabout. They'll cross into the runabout, And that's one of the most dangerous places you can cross. Or other times you find them at a junction, trying to stop a car or something. So this is something that's impacting all of us. And as you rightly said, oftentimes people think it's something that's far away until it comes closer to them. And so that is why some of these conversations are important. We need to educate ourselves. People think that, it is when the thing, like oftentimes when you find is that it is when the thing happens, that is when people are now trying to get information or knowledge about the situation. Whereas you should have known about it before, whether it is first aid, whether it is where the right place to stop a car or cross the road or something, you need to know or have the information so that when the thing happens, then the remedies or things can be corrected from there. You wanted to add something?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Actually, I agree.
And so sometimes it's like something happens. One of the dangerous things is how people are even carried when there's an accident. Yeah. I hear it maims people or it creates more damage than even the accident itself. So if you're watching, we have the Zoom link on the screens and the WhatsApp numbers as well. Please join us because we definitely will want to hear from you on today's conversation. The meeting ID is there with the password as well, and the WhatsApp number also will be on the screen. It is very important. The mistake that we make is that we wait till the thing happens. The fire has started. Then now we are trying to know how to address the fire. You should have known these things before, and that's why we'll be doing these educational campaigns on the Trotter TV show. So, Nene, you have some presentation and some review of what we did last week. I'm going to hand over to you so that you take us through, and then as and when there are questions, we jump in, and then when the audience bring questions in too, we can jump in on that.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we had a lot of questions.
Yes.
And I decided to go through the questions so that I can expand it better and also support it with certain videos that would encourage us to take them serious.
Okay.
So one of the questions they asked...
Maybe I'll join you here.
We spoke about the warning triangle. Please, can you move to there? So when we spoke about it, I want us to remember what the law says, Regulation 83 of the LI 2180. That's the 2012 Road Traffic Regulation. It said that a person shall not drive a motor vehicle unless that person has in the vehicle a pair of advanced warning triangles.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually even have it here to support. So very soon, I'm sure it will be shown on the screen, and we see what the law says. And one problem is, it didn't say just one, but it says what? A pair. A pair. And it says also that you should mount it at a distance which is not less than 45 meters from the motor vehicle, and which is sufficient to give the warning. And that is why the next video shows why it's sufficient to give a warning. So you realize that in our country, these are the laws, and the laws have even stipulated that we should have two, a pair. A pair means what? Two. A pair of advanced warning triangles. Okay. And we would see in the next video, or we see in the video, why it is important to have a warning triangle in your vehicle. So with the video, let me break it down. There was a vehicle that broke down on the highway. Okay. And he has his boot open, trying to attend to his vehicle. Then all of a sudden, we'll see what happens next. And this is the main reason why, whether you are a driver or a cyclist, let's pay attention. This is the passenger, and this is the rider himself.
So that was the passenger that flew?
Yeah, that was the passenger, yeah.
Wow.
And that was the rider. You might be wondering...
Sorry, just before we continue, we definitely advise viewer discretion because this might be graphic for some people. And so we're just alerting you, this is road safety education. Sometimes I think we don't bring it out so people don't see how serious it is. And so we're just giving this advance notice that some of these videos are graphic, so please be informed about it. So please carry on.
Okay. So as you can see, the two were on the bikers. One was a passenger, so you could have also said road safety is not important. Yeah. They were on the highway, so probably they were even going within the legal speed limit. but he didn't know there was a vehicle broken down because there were other vehicles there. And as a motorcyclist, he thinks he's very fast and can. So what happened was this vehicle, the one you can see, is actually a footage from the vehicle that was in front. So he was trying to switch to the middle lane. He was trying to switch. Whilst trying to switch, the motorcyclist thought he could go and use that stretch. So as soon as he switched, surprise, he saw that vehicle.
Wow, wow. And I'm seeing a couple of things here. The owner of the vehicle did not do the right thing with the triangles, but then also the motorcyclist should have also been more careful, because this is his mistake, but then his speed also made it difficult for him to stop. And the person that was the passenger on the motorcycle also, even though they were not the one riding the motorbike, or they were not the one that did not put the triangle, it impacted them. And I think they are the most impacted. The person is the most impacted, even in this situation, because that's the person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you see, it means that everyone has a part to play. Now let's look at it very well. So as a driver who was switching lane, the whole video proves that then they were actually on this lane. And they saw these drivers switching to that lane.
They tried to
So they tried to move to the other lane, and that's why they moved with that speed and ran into that car. So one thing he could have also done was to ensure that he uses the arm signal to slow the motorcyclist down, which means if he had done that, probably that would have happened. Also, the motorcyclist, as a defensive driver, when he saw the driver switching lanes, should have what? Slowed down. And now we move to the driver, who was the greatest offender. Probably the car just broke down. And that is why it's always important that we all play our role. Because probably it was just as soon as the vehicle broke down, that was when the accident happened. So we can't tell. That's why open is good to go out for the warning triangle. And that is why everyone has a part to play in road safety.
So guys, whether you are a driver, passenger, cyclist, once you are on the road, there's a part that you need to play. There are rights for you as a passenger, driver, whichever one, but there are also responsibilities. So there are things that you need to know. Okay.
So with the next video, we would see that there were two people. Now this can be the owner of a shop who is inspecting his goods that has been delivered to him. But the law says, so far as your vehicle is on the road and it's not moving, there should be a warning triangle. Now, while they were inspecting, so this can be a market woman who just bought some stuff, especially the fruits and the rest they bring to the market, or probably
pure water sellers.
Yeah, pure water sellers, exactly. All this proves that you can be a victim, whether you are a driver or a pedestrian or a road user. So let's see, they are inspecting their goods, and all of a sudden, we have a vehicle running straight into them. Wow. Now, mind you, if that warning triangle was mounted a distance not less than 45 meters, which is quite far away from them, if that car had run into that warning triangle, the driver would have lifted his head to see what was going on, and they would have heard the sound to have ample time to flee from the scene. And that is why the warning triangle is very, very important. You can say he was texting while I was driving. You can give all reasons for him, but what has happened to them? They are all in paradise.
Wow.
Yeah, so please don't worry. The reason why they add viewer discretion is this is not the bodies. This just happened. And it can happen any day.
True.
And I wanted us to meet it by surprise, because so the road too, there's no viewer discretion on the road. Yeah. You will just be driving, then it happens. So we move on.
So this means that whenever we find ourselves by the roads, because a lot of the food we buy, roadside, a lot of the things that we do, momo, whichever one, roadside, we really need to pay attention to what's going on around us, because anything can happen anytime.
Perfect.
Wow.
Perfect.
Okay.
Which means also that when you are walking on the road, you don't use headphones, because you never know where the danger is coming from.
True.
Because your focus should always be on the road, not only the driver, but as I even recall just yesterday, I met 3 children walking on the street, and they were holding hands, and I was approaching, and there was another vehicle on the other lane, which means I couldn't maneuver around them. So I kept honking to draw their attention, even though I slowed down, but they didn't even react to it. Wow. which plays a lot of fear in me, because if it was that vehicle that was moving very fast, then it means that he would have run into them.
Yeah.
And this is why, as parents also, we educate our children about road safety. Now, talking about parents, we spoke about the child car seat. So let's see why parents should also be careful when they have their children in their vehicle. So we have a lady who went to a shop with her vehicle. Can see you don't like this video at all. So she went to the shop with her child sitting at the back seat. This video is not that clear. My apologies. This was a CCTV footage, so we'll get the best quality from it. So she had the child actually at the back, and unfortunately, she rolled the glass because she has parked the vehicle, thinking the child was seated. And she was struggling the child to death. And the child couldn't scream. And that's why she didn't know, because it had actually gotten to the final part, and it was actually struggling her.
And she's situational awareness.
Yeah. And she was so confused that she couldn't even bring down the glass. She couldn't. So you realize that she comes down and the glass is still up. And that is why you shouldn't wait for it to be too late. When it's late, your whole sense doesn't work as it's supposed to. And that is why it's important we take caution. Now, those of us who love to have our kids sitting at the back or in the middle or in front just because we are enjoying it. Sometimes life is hard, so if you've made it to life, let your children enjoy. Your child likes to stand at the center of the vehicle, especially in between the front seats. They like to stand there to watch what's going on the road. It's extremely dangerous. In the next video, we see a father and a child. All of a sudden, the car in front of him stops, so he has to slam on the brake. Then we see what happens in that video. So this is the father, and this is the child. So now let's see how it happened. So the driver, he slams on the brake, and that is...
Wow.
He was very fortunate.
Wow.
Just recently, we heard about Nene Williams' accident that involved a parent and the child. The child was actually in this same situation, but for that father, he was so unfortunate. The force flung the child out of the vehicle. The force actually flung the child. So in Nene Williams' case, this wasn't the end. He went through the glass, and that was the end of that child. And that's why it's very important. Now, we would realize that in the next video, we have a gallon representing a child.
Okay.
And the speed at which they are going is 7 kilometers per hour. My grandmother can even run faster than 7 kilometers per hour. But when the car stops, look at what happens to the child. Wow. And this is why we always advise that you use what we call the child car seat whenever you have a child. And please, let's go back to the child.
If we can go back to the child restraint.
I would just, so with the child car seat, which has given us the US name, the child restraint seat, it helps to restrain the child or keep the child from any impact when there's an accident. So let's say with the seat belts we usually wear, I was even saying last week that a lot of us think it's safe for the children, but there are a lot of challenges with it. You see how soft KFC bones are? Yeah, I know when we are there, we don't chew the bones, but when we go home, you see how you can easily snap the bones with your teeth. That is how fragile children's bones are. Yeah, and when the bone breaks into two, it becomes a fracture. And that bone becomes very sharp, and it can pierce the organs of the child. That is why for the child car seat, the seat belts are two and are padded to distribute the force that is exerted on the rib cage. And also, I was telling them that when you wear the seat belt for the child, it goes around the neck area, which means it can strangle the child to death.
That's the normal seat belt.
The normal seat belt can strangle the child to death. And also, if in case the car even rolls over, or what we call it's, we use the phrase somersault, we have these padded areas around the head, around the body to protect the child's head. So it means that no matter what happens, if the car should even roll over, the child's head is cushioned. And also when the glasses shatter, because of how the child sits inside, it means that the glasses would rather hit the parts of the child car seat instead of the child. And it still doesn't end there. There are hooks that can be anchored to the back seat. And look at all these benefits. It still doesn't end there. You can now run the main seat belt across the child car seat to secure it properly. Look at all the benefits. You can secure it properly. Look how the child is even happy. When you ask many parents, they will be like, look how he's even smiling. How often do your child smile like this? That is probably because you're not giving him the child car seat. Yeah. But putting all jokes aside, you realize that regardless of the child's age, you can get a child car seat. And when he gets to 11 or 12 or 13, then we use what we call the seat boosters, which is like a pillow that elevates the child so that the seat belt can go across the child. Yeah. And I'm very happy we have a child smiling with his child car seat. So parents, you can always get it for a child. Now,
just before you go on, and I think sometimes when we're saying some of these things, then people think about money or not. We are buying far expensive things that are not as useful. We are buying other things. I don't want to mention them, but there are more expensive things that we are buying for kids. I don't know why sometimes we don't prioritize some of these things. Today is Saturday. By now, the money that people are spending on a yen, tuma, and other stuff is even more expensive or equally expensive. So it's important we prioritize some of these stuff.
Yeah, yes, I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to talk about someone's side chick, but I can't buy this. Let's proceed. Yeah, so,
side chicks' lives matter.
Yeah. So we have parents who would want to give some money to other people, but they don't want to spend on their children. Now, I recall also one of the drivers spoke about the police officers who cross red lights.
Yes.
So I wanted us to just look at what the law says about police officers, especially when it comes to breaking the laws on the road. Because I mostly see, especially the Trotro, the police for Debia, Mubumrano. So let's see what the law says, if they actually have some immunity to some of the laws on the road.
Okay.
So this is a police vehicle. Yeah.
This police vehicle, yeah.
It's not gone out there. Yeah. They use V8 engines for them. Yeah, so they are faster than some of our own. Yeah, but you can't chase Trotro with V8. You just waste for. Yeah, so we don't use that one here in Ghana.
Where's the road to
So when we even look at the law, it says that in Regulation 167, it is titled Authorized Emergency Vehicles. And it says that a person who drives an authorized emergency vehicle when responding to an emergency call or when in the pursuit of an actual or suspected violator of the law or when responding to, but not on, returning from an emergency call may exercise the privileges set forth in this regulation. So let's see some of the privileges that has been given. All those who didn't understand this, all it said from the first part is, if there's a police vehicle or any authorized emergency vehicle that is responding to an emergency, but not rather when he has finished or he or she has finished responding to that call, has these privileges. And let's see what they are.
So maybe I just touch on this a little bit. So from what I'm getting, basically, to break it down to another level is saying that anybody who drives an authorized emergency vehicle into OBOT, we are thinking police, ambulance, fire service,
even national security.
National security. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So when they are responding to an emergency call, so I think it's set out about 3 instances until when they are responding to an emergency call. So they've been called, some emergency be AC, so they have to respond to the emergency. Or when they are chasing an actual or suspected violator, ebia obi ebumrano, and I say almost suspect say obi ebumrano into omu chasing the panel. Or when responding to but not on those are
the 3.
Those are the 3.
Yeah.
When omu responde and omu DH say BBAC I say fire service alcohol and I say ambulance alcohol and I say police alcohol and omu di obi a we breaking mrano echi. But
that's Omudji say.
Omudji say nipa ne bumrano.
Yeah, that's the one.
That is when those privileges eba into action, but not when omo babak.
Yeah,
omo na omo babak.
That is no way.
Yeah. Okay. Into where we adwuma na okoye an emergency, where we emergency na or san badia and no count. Okay.
So the first one says that the person driving an authorized emergency vehicle under the circumstance described in this regulation. So it says that when they park or stand at a restricted area.
Okay.
So when that area has a no parking sign or it's a restricted area, they can still park there.
Okay.
The restricted areas can be the Ministry of Defense, the Flagstaff House, certain airports and the rest. They can still park there. It also says that they can even proceed past a red light or stop signal or stop sign.
Okay.
But only after slowing down as may be necessary for safe operation. So whether it's red light or whatever stop sign it is, a stop marking, they can still go. Then it even gives them the opportunity to what? Exceed the maximum speed limits as provided for in this regulation. The speed limit is under regulation 163. And when you go to 164, it also restricts. This is one secret. Trotro drivers are not allowed to go over 80 kilometers per hour, including taxi, including Ubers. Yeah.
Did you know this? Let us know on WhatsApp or Zoom. Did you know that Trotro drivers and taxis, is it like commercial vehicles, are not allowed to do?
If you are carrying the person in exchange of money, so far as the person is paying you, you don't go beyond 80
kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
My producer is asking to ask if Sprinter can run. Because obviously on the road, what is happening is different.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so we are saying that in the first instance, they can park or stand in restricted areas.
Yeah.
They can also go past red lights or stop signals or stop signs.
Yeah.
But only after, that means before they will do that, so much say Obia almost slow down. Now and sign lead to another accident.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Then they also can exceed the speed limit as provided for in the regulations. That means Obia ofete what has been stated here, no? They can break these laws that are already established because it's an emergency situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't end there. Even with the speed limit, look at what it says. So, as provided for in this regulation, so long as the person driving a motor vehicle does not endanger life or property, then it says it gives them another opportunity to disregard the regulation governing direction of movement or turning in a specified area, which means that regardless of how traffic flows, they can choose which direction to turn. If it's one way, they can go the opposite direction. If it's even on a highway, they can still face the opposite direction in response. But now let's see what the law says regarding all these things. It says, this is the secret for us here. It says that the exemptions granted in this regulation to an authorized emergency vehicle responding to an emergency situation shall apply only when.
Okay.
So this is the clause, only when. Now this is what makes it interesting. So we'll see what they are allowed to do only when. So we move to the next one. Then
okay, so if you can move on. So they're allowed to do this, but only when this, what we are coming to is, okay, can we move on to the next slide?
So it says that only when the person driving the motor vehicle in motion sounds an audible signal bell, horn, siren, or exhaust whistle, as may be reasonably necessary. So it means that I can't just drive a police vehicle, an ambulance, or any emergency vehicle, and I'll just drive through red. And this is the secret. It says that, this is what it says. The motor vehicle is equipped with at least one lighted lamp displaying red or blue or both visible under normal atmospheric conditions from a distance of 150 meters. So it means that if one day maybe you are driving and some group of officers, probably national security, they didn't have any alarm, you were turning and they ran into your vehicle, this law cushions
They are not meeting
these requirements. So you can actually sue so that you get your money. But when you are suing, to make sure that you do it with TV or the media supporting you, so that in case you are missing, we know where to turn to.
Okay, so just to summarize, basically, the things now we read just before, and I kind they can only do that under these conditions. In the first one, they say they must sound alarm. So that's the sirens, bell, horn, and also whistle be to draw attention. And also, no, or they must have one lighted lamp displaying red or blue. Into those lights now, police lights, no, one of them or both of them, which is visible under normal atmospheric conditions, into normal weather conditions, no, I say nipa need to me from 150 meters to the front of the motor vehicle. Into no, say nipa no be you see this they must make sure say alarm no sound no and they must also have the lights.
Exactly. And it says that even though these officers have the right, look at what it says here. So these sub-regulations shall not relieve the person driving an authorized emergency vehicle from the responsibility to drive with due care for the safety of all persons. That is the first thing. Then the second thing it also says is that it does not protect the person from the consequences of the person's reckless disregard for the safety of other road users. This is so wonderful, which means that the fact that a police officer had even turned on the light and run into your vehicle or knocked your side mirror doesn't mean that
they're exempted.
Yeah, they're exempted. If it was that officer's fault, then you can speak to that officer. And maybe because you know you was running or attending to an emergency, then you can let it go. Okay. But if you like Mansutu, then
you can pull it. There. Okay, so I understand that we have Osei from Sunyani on the line. Osei, good morning. Can you hear us?
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, how are you doing this morning?
The name is Amma. Amma from Sunyani.
Amma from Sunyani. Okay, Amma, please go ahead with your submission.
Thank you very much for the program. Oh, it's very interesting. We are learning a lot. I want to say about the red light police. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
About the red light. Last time when I was driving and we are waiting, the red light is on. And I saw a police vehicle running past and he ran past the red light. So when the green light is on, then I saw them. Their car parked in front of a chop bar. And then I decided to stop and then run into the chop bar. I saw them, they are waiting for their food. And then I said, running red light and waiting for food, I don't understand. And then I explained it to my friend and he said they want to,
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Oh, I think we've lost Amma. Very interesting point. So he's saying that he saw police people run the red light only to get to Choba. Which one is it? Which protection is that under?
I don't know the emergency they were attending to, but the law says attending to an emergency. So if they can prove that they are attending to an emergency, probably
they needed fufu for some patient or something.
Maybe the culprit was hunger, so they have to arrest.
Okay, so we have just about 4 minutes. I think we'll continue next week, but we have just about 4 minutes to wrap up. So if we can quickly touch on the very important ones.
Okay, so the last, finally, we have only the last one. So the last one has to do with the tinted. That was another question that was.
So that will be the next slide, right?
About, they asked about tinted glasses. I recall one of the drivers asked about tinted glasses. So this is what the law says about the tinted windows. That is very brief, so I'll just read that one. It says that a person shall not drive a motor vehicle with tinted front windscreen.
So that's the front. Okay.
But this is what also says. A person may drive a motor vehicle which has glass other than the windscreen and front glass tinted other than, which means apart from those two, you can tint the rest of the vehicle, the back glass and any other glass you have on the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, then it says that if you want to still tint, this is what it says. With light transmittance of at least 70% to allow the occupants to see and be seen. Then it says, if the film or tinting material applied to the windscreen or window or partition is free from bubbles, tears, or scratches. So you can only do it if there are no scratches. So if you also have tint and it's a bit older, there are scratches.
Okay, so what I'm getting so far is that windshield or windscreen, you can't tint.
Yeah.
And then the front, that means the driver's side and the passenger front side, you can't tint. Yeah. But the back seat and then the shield, any other one you can tint.
Yeah.
And so this 70%, is it for the ones at the back that you can tint?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it says that apart from the front glass,
okay,
you shouldn't tint that one.
Okay.
It says it here. Yeah. And it gives only ambulance, a hearse, or any authorized vehicle the opportunity to do it. To tint. They said it doesn't apply to them. So they can tint and make it very dark. And I think for hearse, we all understand why. Yeah, I'm not sure what to see any on your face. So let's see the last one and the tint. So
the last slide.
Yeah, so the last one, we will see the different percentages of tint.
Okay.
So at least, if you don't even know how to measure it, you can get a clear... So this is the blackout. This one can be used for the hairs. Yeah, but for us, we can't use this, we can't use this, we can't even use this. We can't even use this, neither can we use this. The only one prescribed for us is this or that.
And this at the back?
No, yeah, at the back.
Yeah.
At the back. At the back. Someone will say that, oh, I use this for only the front. But the law says you should be able to see the person in the vehicle as well. But it says you shouldn't even tint the front at all.
Then, based on this, that means that majority of the tinted cars in Ghana are not even legal.
Yeah.
Because they're even doing everything. I hear some are even tinting the windscreen and all that. So that means that, obviously, most of the tints that we're seeing in Ghana is not legal. And so, Nene, I want to thank you very much. We couldn't finish some of them, but I think once we go to Kaneshi next week, we will be able to touch on some of the things that we haven't been able to touch on. So this has been the Trotter TV show on Joy Prime. As we mentioned, the Trotter educational campaign is still on in partnership with COMAC, Stephen Driving School, DVLA, and obviously the Multimedia Group. Stay tuned next week when we come back, or join us once again next week on the Trotter TV show, and we will see you in a week. Take care.